Today we're going to have the 5th chapter of the adventures of Grandfather Frog. We left it last time with Longlegs the heron watching Grandfather Frog very patiently. And today we're going to have a chapter called Grandfather Frog Jumps Just in Time. Backwards and forwards over the green meadows sailed Longtail the marsh heron. Like Longlegs, the blue heron, he was hungry. His sharp eyes peered down among the grasses, looking for something to eat. But some good fairy seemed to have warned the little people who lived there that Whitetail was out hunting. Perhaps it was one of little old Mother West Wind's children, the Merry Little Breezes. You know that they are always flitting about trying to do someone a good turn. They love to dance and romp and play from dawn to dusk the livelong day, but more than this they love to find a chance to do some favour kind. Anyway, little Mr. Greensnake seemed to know that Whitetail was out hunting and managed to keep out of sight. Danny Meadow Mouse wasn't to be found. Only a few foolish grasshoppers rewarded his patient search, and these only served to make him feel even hungrier than ever. But old Whitetail has a great deal of persistence and, in spite of his bad luck, he kept at his hunting. Backwards and forwards, until he had been all over the green meadows. At last he made up his mind that he was wasting his time. "I'll just go and have a look over at the Smiling Pool, and if there's nothing there, I'll take a turn or two along the big river," he thought, and at once started for the Smiling Pool. Long before he reached it, his keen eyes saw Longlegs, the blue heron, standing motionless at the edge of it, and he knew, by the look of Longlegs, that he was watching something which he hoped to catch. "If it's a fish," thought Whitetail, "it will do no good for me, for I am no fisherman. But if it's a frog, well, frogs are not as good eating as a fat meadow mice, but they are very satisfying." With that he hurried a little faster, and then he saw what Longlegs was watching so intently. It was, as you know, Grandfather Frog sitting on his big green lily pad. Old Whitetail gave a great sigh of satisfaction. Grandfather Frog certainly would be very satisfying indeed. Now Longlegs the blue heron was so intently watching Grandfather Frog that he saw nothing else, and Grandfather Frog was so busy watching Longlegs that he quite forgot that there might be other dangers. Besides, his back was towards old Whitetail. Of course Whitetail saw this, and it made him almost chuckle aloud. Ever so many times he had tried to catch Grandfather Frog, but Grandfather Frog had seen him long before he could get near him. Now, with all his keen sight, old Whitetail had failed to see someone else who was sitting in full view. He had failed to see because his mind was so full of Grandfather Frog and Longlegs that he forgot to look around, as he usually does. Just skimming the top of the bulrushes, he sailed swiftly over the Smiling Pool and reached down with his great cruel claw to clutch Grandfather Frog, who sat there pretending to be asleep, but all the time watching Longlegs, deep down inside chuckling to think how foolish Longlegs would look. Slap! That was the tail of Jerry Muskrat hitting the water. Grandfather Frog knew that that meant danger. He didn't know what the danger was, and he didn't wait to find out. There would be time enough later for that. When Jerry Muskrat slapped the water with his tail that way, danger was very near indeed. With a frightened chug-a-rum, Grandfather Frog dived head-first into the Smiling Pool, and so close was old Whitetail that the water was splashed right into his face. He clutched frantically with his great claw, but all he got was a piece of the big green lily pad on which Grandfather Frog had been sitting, and of course this was no use for his empty stomach. With a scream of disappointment and anger, he whirled in the air and made straight for Jerry Muskrat. But Jerry just laughed in the most provoking way and ducked under the water. That's the chapter ended. But there's still much more to go, so we shall leave it there and say thank you to Thornton W. Burgess for the adventures of Grandfather Frog, and hopefully I shall see you soon.